Friends and laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, campers, and happy Memorial Day weekend. As we kick things off here on Midnight's Edge in the morning, I am Tom Connors. We have Mikey sitting in for the boss man this morning. How you doing?
Very well, sir. I am from a remote location on site at a client here in the conference room on lunch break, enjoying the show and excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we're glad to always have you. We also have with us Paul. What are you eating? Bacon?
Banana.
Oh, a banana.
Yes, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime here in Canada.
What is it with the shirts lately?
Yeah, I got a whole set of these really.
Did the wife spoil you or something?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good. I had my other shirt on for my other video, and the comments were like, "Can you please turn down the shirt?"
It was a little loud. This is not so loud. This one's a little more subdued.
I know. I love it. You guys in comment land are great.
I love it. We also have, of course, Culture Casino here. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some really positive news for a change, and I'm excited.
His beard is covering his shirt.
It is. It says, "What I do, I fix stuff, and I know things."
True story.
It should say, "Here's the thing."
Here's the thing.
I fix stuff and I know things. That's what it should say.
That's what it should say. I'll work on that.
And we have back again. We're so glad to have him here. Grummz, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the show. It is a day to celebrate.
Yes, you were telling me about that. We're going to get to that shortly here. We're going to say hello to everybody out in the chat first. We got some news to start off with, though. We'll get to that too. We got Low Spec Linux in the chat. We got Mr. Tickle Trunk with the wrench out there. We got Hyper Guyver and so many more. Hit the like button, guys. I see Josh Hammond, Vorpal, Bunny's Revenge, so many more. Morgan King is here. Matthew W. Hit the like button. So many members here already this morning. CC Karaoke, my partner in crime over at Mead, is in the chat wrenching as well. Kenneth LaRock, so many more regulars I'm seeing already. Thank you for being here. Share out the link. Let everybody know we're live. And yeah, we got a bit of, I guess, sad news to start with this morning. It's always sad when you lose somebody. But this is a name that most people will know, especially they'll know his face. Morgan Spurlock evidently had been suffering from cancer and he passed away. So yeah, for those who may not know who he is, he's a famous documentarian whose biggest documentary, of course, was Super Size Me. But yeah, so Paul, you and I were talking a little bit about him before the show started, but yeah, he was evidently somebody who made an impact on culture. That's for sure.
Yeah, he did. I don't necessarily know whether it was good or bad.
Right.
Obviously, eating fast food and excessive amounts of it isn't good. But on the other hand, his documentary was filled with misinformation. So are lies a good way to educate people? So to me, you can't ever lie. it does not lead you to a good place.
Right.
So that would be my only problem with what he did with Super Size Me.
Right. I mean, and I think I compared him to Michael Moore. It's like, yeah, I get it. He's trying to do a good thing, but he always goes about it in a more salacious way. And he had a few other documentaries
Well, I
after
mean,
this.
he's edutainment.
Yeah, edutainment or infotainment, however you
Right.
want to call it.
Yeah. Again, we are living in a world of lies, and the only place where we can begin to discuss anything with anybody is starting with the truth. I mean, it's you can't, and everything, and then it just becomes manipulation, and then you lose trust. Anyway, so I think that was really the only problem with his documentary, and it's the problem I have with Michael Moore. So
yeah, same here, and that's why I brought him up. But no, on the other hand, no, it is sad to hear when somebody passes like this, especially of cancer. So to his family and friends,
yeah,
go ahead, Grummz.
Yeah.
Grummz, you saying something?
I just said cancer sucks. That's really sad.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
that.
no, he's not an evil person.
No.
I mean, this is
honestly, I'd say Michael Moore is probably more salacious in that respect. Because I mean,
he doesn't deserve to die either. By the way,
well, I didn't say that, but I wouldn't go that far. But no, like I mean, even part of the whole he lied thing, I'll even kind of say, well, he did to a point. What he didn't do is so much wasn't as upfront with the people who were watching the film, letting him know his lifestyle. And there's a lot of doctors and other people who've come out afterwards saying that, considering the diet he was on prior to and all that kind of stuff, that was not a good thing to switch like that the way he did. And then also it come out, actually, this is kind of strange because it's funny this just happened today, or this happened that he happened to pass away today, because I just saw something about this the other day where it talked about his alcoholism, and that actually contributed to his liver functions going down during the documentary, because I guess he had a major alcohol problem. But so there was just those little things. Like I wouldn't even say he necessarily lied on purpose, but he did mislead people with that documentary. I'm sure he did lie on purpose in some cases, but I'm trying to be nice to the guy. He just passed away. Anybody got anything nice to say about him?
He is going to be deeply affected by what you're saying.
I'm sure he will be. I'm sure his family will be, though. That's what I'm saying. They're not that any of them are going to hear me. I'm just saying. I mean, he will be missed, right? I mean, and he did make a cultural impact, like I said. So
it was a fascinating movie.
And it did make us wake up and start to think about it. That's for sure. I mean, I know a lot of people who hadn't at that point, because we had hit this point in America where, especially with the dollar menu and the supersized stuff and all that stuff. Yeah. Look at where we're at as a culture that many years later, because it's been what, 15, almost 20 years since this documentary came out. I mean, we're much more obese now than we were before, but I know somebody who's lost a lot of weight and knows what that's like is Mikey. So, I mean,
well,
that's
I had
something that
seen the
impacted your life.
documentary, but that didn't stop me from eating double Whopper, no onion, French fry combos per day, one for lunch and one for dinner.
So take off all the vegetables, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I would have a double Whopper, no onion combo, like at least twice a day, and I did that for 2 years. And that's I credit that diet plan with getting me to 305 pounds back in from 2017 to 2019.
Yeah. Well, Destiny, I'm trying to be nice. The guy just passed. I mean,
it's you go around the worlds, the one world we have, and you'll get all sorts of interesting cultural alternatives to the fast food we have in North America.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid and in Hungary in '72. Now that was a long time ago, but even back then, it was coming out of as it's still in a communist state. There wasn't a lot of refrigeration that they had even back then. And so I remember the shock of the bread guy showing up in the cart every morning, and you'd go downstairs and hand him a couple of Hungarian forints, and you'd get bread and fresh butter, and then you'd take it upstairs and have breakfast. And then at dinner time, the same guy would come, but with slabs of meat, separated by wax paper. You basically got fresh food and ate it the moment you needed it because
Right.
no one could store it any place. And that was a complete shock. And it was just amazing how much healthier the people were
Yeah.
in Hungary just with that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, and you know, speaking of like fast food and other places, like, I mean, that's the thing. I love if I do get to ever visit anywhere outside the US, there's like, especially like in, you know, Asian countries or anything like that. I'd love to try some of the street food and stuff. It looks so good. I don't care what it is, probably. I don't want to know. But
Yeah. I mean, the
just some of the
Chinese,
stuff I've seen online that they're making and stuff, it just looks so good.
well, I lived in Chinatown in Toronto for 4 years, and I had a lot of Asian friends, and they were shocked at just how we would shop once a week and fill our refrigerators with food.
Right.
And they said, I mean, that I would just the food
I mean,
that I knew.
I
they
mean, I
said,
guess,
what that wasn't part of Asian culture.
you know, if anything, I guess we can say one good thing about Morgan. He did get a lot of people to eat better.
Yeah,
He did make them wake up, regardless if he did obfuscate or lie a little bit in his documentary or lie a lot. I'm trying to be nice. But anyway, let's move on from Morgan.
moving.
Because there's other things. Did anybody else have anything to say? You guys were pretty quiet up above, so
I
No.
don't know much about him.
oh, that's fine. We've got some other super chats here. Let's grab. We got Dr. Long Dongler, or we haven't got to him yet at all. Who sent in a £1.99 to remind you to pound that like button. We appreciate that. We got Ash Banry, who says happy Friday panel. Sunday is my birthday. Well, happy birthday Sunday. Could William Shatner wish me a happy birthday? Also, does Paul have a favorite Rush album? Well, first of all, do you have a favorite Rush album? That's like a Canadian thing.
Oh yeah, 2112.
Yeah, that's the easy answer, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they've got such, you know, great stuff out there, and they're
Yeah.
more popular now than ever before.
Yeah. But all right, well, good morning, Ash.
I knew
How are
his.
you?
I knew his. I knew they're his agent. I never met them, but I was good friends with their agent.
Ash, it turns out that you have a birthday coming up.
You have a birthday.
I don't act like that, Paul. Quit saying I do. Priceline.com. So birthdays only come once a year. Once a year. But I want to wish you very, very, very happy birthday this Sunday. Ash. That's going to cost you about $50, Culture. I'm not as cheap as that Rubbermaid bat dude.
Oh, sure.
Priceline.com.
Thanks, chat.
We haven't pulled the chat out in a while.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Thank you, Ash, for that. And happy birthday. iHonch says, with 200 Australian free Stellarblade, we haven't uncensored the game yet. Well, we're going to
there's
talk
debate
about
about
just a
that.
second.
We'll talk about that.
And iHonch also sent one in before that and says, Grummz, no censorship was reversed. Free Stellarblade was about uncensoring outfits, yet the gore was not restored and no outfits were uncensored. Okay, so before we get too far into this, Grummz, why don't you explain what's going on here, and then explain to me what you were talking about this morning about a bit of a success with Stellarblade. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so basically, a new patch for Stellarblade dropped almost 30 days to the date of launch, and the petition, and they basically uncensored 2 of the outfits that gamers had been concerned about. And they put this in the R shop, so they are additional unlocks. They didn't go back and they didn't change the ones that were shipped in the game, which we can go into detail about, but they added the uncensored versions with some additional design that I think looks amazing, and they put them into our shop, and it people are thrilled because it shows that they're listening, it shows that they're responding, and this is a huge win. This is 2 wins in a row for gamers. We had Helldivers push back on that. We had this, and while it's not the entire battle, it's not everything we asked for, it doesn't stop here. You are making incremental wins in a long war, and to take this as a win is absolutely the way we should, and that doesn't mean you stop there. For those of you who don't know, Stellarblade came
Yeah.
out, and with it was as a game on PS5, and it was very well received because it was basically everything anti-woke. It had feminine, protagonist. It had revealing outfits. It had good gameplay, most importantly, and gamers were really excited to see that finally, especially on a platform like Sony, like PlayStation, which is so locked down. Finally they were starting to see an end to the hypocrisy, right there, because Sony would be censoring Asian games, and they would allow stuff like nudity in Cyberpunk, where you can have your junk swinging around. They can have horse testicles in Red Dead Redemption, and you could have and then other games like not on PlayStation but Xbox, Baldur's Gate 3. You could have bear sex. This stuff has been going on for a long time. And so when we finally saw a game company say, listen, we're going to give the gamers what they want, and we're going to go against this whole trend, that was seen as a huge win already for gamers. But the problem was that they advertised the game would be uncensored, and then they came out with outfits in a day one patch. So basically day one, everyone had to download this patch, and when that happened, there were like modesty panels added to some of the outfits, and it's unclear, or it was unclear, and I think it still remains unclear, whether Sony was forcing that or the developer Shift Up was forcing that. And if you looked at his launch day interviews, he basically had to say that this was part of his creative vision, and that just because an outfit is lewd doesn't mean it's good, and that the design has to be good first and foremost. So people were back and forth about this. Is this the creative vision? Is it not? But it's clear that gamers felt like something was promised in the trailers, these outfits that looked one way, and they got something else on the game. So we started a petition called Free Stellarblade, right? And we are at almost 91,000 signatures. There's 2 days left to sign, and people said this would never work. And I outlined an 8-step plan on how we were going to do this. I said, look, Shift Up is not the enemy. They're fighting as hard as they can, but they got Sony there, and there's only so much the creative director can say because he's got NDAs with his publisher, and he can't badmouth them in a press release. And I think there is something to the fact that he had a creative vision, because the outfits that we did get today look better than the original uncensored versions, in my opinion. Not only are they uncensored, but they have design tweaks to them that I think look fantastic. So gamers, for the most part, are very excited about this. But there's also a backlash because not every outfit was uncensored, and some people want to quit. Can you believe it? Some people want to quit. They want a black pill. They want to say that this is not a win. I know you have some super chat opinions out there, and you can have that opinion. You can quit now. But let's talk about how the woke won, how we got to this point. The woke won by celebrating and every tiny little victory they had. Someone sent me a tweet that said, oh, by the way, while we're talking about this, can you put up the link to these outfits? I have a tweet here, and so people can see what we're talking about.
Bring that up.
And someone had a tweet that I retweeted that said, listen, the woke won because they took every little finger they could, every little pinky, and soon they had a pile of hands, right? And that's how they did it. It's like every little thing they got, they were loud about it. They claimed it as a victory, and then they built up from there. This is how you win. You don't win by black pilling every single moment you get a small victory. You amplify it. You how do you start a fire? You start with little embers in the kindling, and you blow on it and you blow on it, and then suddenly you have a roaring bonfire. This is how it happens. The fact that they listened at all is amazing. People said this would never work, that they would never listen, right? And I've had success in the past with the Nostalrius WoW Classic petition. I knew that this could be possible. So we did a two-pronged approach. We supported Stellarblade because they were doing far more good than the negativity that's out there. And we canceled PSN subscriptions. We basically went after the publisher, Sony, financially while supporting the developer. And that, I think, and we took an Asian approach. This is an Asian company. They don't, they you have to approach them a little differently. And I think this was the right strategy because we got a very obvious win today. And this doesn't stop here. The petition is going to be submitted as a gift now next week to the Shift Up offices, and we're going to politely ask for more unlocks. Now, people are saying too that, hey, these censored outfits are still in the game. Well, yes, they didn't go back and they didn't revert the outfit. I think anytime you change an avatar, some people like those outfits. Anytime you change it, there's an uproar. The proper way to do it, from my experience in game development, is to give players options, give players more choices. So they added these to the store as additional outfits, but they are obviously intended to be the uncensored versions of what was in the day one patch. So I don't know if that's getting too much into the weeds for your audience, but this is sort of like explains, why there's people that are saying this is censored versus uncensored, what it's about. And it's really about the fight for consumer voices in gaming. It's really about the long-term battle to take back AAA gaming from the woke DEI infestation. And this is a long battle that you win step by step. And the people who want to quit now, I hate to say it, you're probably the same type that, when you start your diet and you only lose 2 pounds, you quit. All right. That's not how it works. You have to persevere. You have to take your wins and you have to push them just like they did. That's how they did it. That's how they changed all of gaming to be what we hate today. You got to do that. And you got to take your defeats too. We're going to lose battles in the future. We're not going to win every single one. And that's okay, because what matters is the end result. What matters is taking back gaming. And this is a huge win for that. Helldivers, also a huge win for that. 3 months ago, none of this was possible. Nothing was going to change. And we said we're going to change it, and we are, and we're winning. Oh, and they're seething about it too. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I was going to say
I mean, the game journalists.
To me, 2 things stand out. One is that, well, maybe a few things stand out. One is congratulations for sure. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to look at this like zero sum and speed. But I guess I have 3 reactions. One is, as mostly a movie TV pundit guy, I mean, we're screaming at the wind. We're screaming in hollow caves. At best, we hear echoes third hand of people that are, like I've got a friend in Disney who talks to me sporadically, and he's like, man, I'm with you in every show you're on, but I can't let anyone that in Disney know that I even know you. I mean, when I meet him for lunch, when I'm in LA, we literally have to go somewhere super far away from the corporate office so that no one that goes on lunch break will know that he's been a friend of mine for 15 years. I mean, so I sit back and I look at this as someone who's like screaming in the air, that I'm going to feel like that old man shaking, fist at the sky.
Why would
I say bravo,
why would the executive not think you're just a gardener or something?
You're funny. I'm trying to say something serious, Paul. Not everything's a joke. Calm down. I'm trying to say something serious here. And as someone who see, now you get me off. Now I'm distracted because you don't know me. Now, anyway, Grummz. So I have a few reactions. One reaction is, as a pundit and someone who just screams in the air, I say congratulations to you. Huge heartfelt congratulations, because any victory is a victory. And this surely is easily a victory. And I've been watching you. I don't know you very well at all. I just, watch from a distance. Man, congratulations! Like, seriously. And every
gamers.
Battles are won by every foot, every yard, every mile taken. And so I say congratulations to you. I wish that the film TV industries had fans like the gamers are. They're able to affect any type of change at all. And the other thing that stands out to me is the fact that because you have that corporate experience because you have an amazing pedigree, you have an amazing resume, right? A lot of us who are just gamers, we're just gamers. But I mean, you have an amazing pedigree in terms of the industry. You understand how corporations work. So the unique perspective that you have is you're able to look and say, here's what was achieved that maybe from one perspective looks minuscule, but from inside the corporation out how important this is in terms of what it reflects of the change inside their own mentality. And you're right. I'm sure they don't like it. But I worked at Exxon Mobil, and I know how corporations work. And the last thing they want to do is they don't want to do anything different than what they do on any given day.
There's a lot of constraints. It's a delicate dance when your money source, the publisher, controls everything and has a very public stance. And not only that, you have things that you can and can't say. And so when the creative director came out and said, listen, what's on the patch is actually my creative vision, I think there were two things going on there. One was the delicate dance that I'm talking about, where he can't badmouth Sony or pin it on Sony. This is the reality of the battlefield, right? We're not talking about a fictional utopia. We're talking about how to win real wars here. So, and the other part is, I think, partially he did think the outfits didn't look as good as they could. And so what we have in these new outfits is a blend. It's what we wanted, and it's also with some very nice additional touches that plus the outfit that actually make it artistically better. And I think this is a huge thing that gamers don't understand, is that these battles have to be fought very carefully. And the same thing with Helldivers. The CEO had to meet with Sony very, very delicately to get the unlocks removed as a requirement, right? The requirement that you have to have a PSN account. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes and how long it takes too. You can't just, update everything on a dime. This patch came out 4 weeks after the launch of the game. And I can tell you that was probably done at the very beginning, because it takes that long to make the changes, go through QA, and then submit to Sony, argue with Sony, get Sony to approve it, go through lock check, which is what their final stage is to make sure that there's no bugs before it's sent out. This was a long process. It's not like they just decided yesterday to do this. Weeks ago, they were already planning this, and they did, and they had to go through this entire long process to get where we are. So yeah, I think that we have to appreciate the realities of the battlefield, right? We have to appreciate that there are, the opposition has tanks, right? And we're going to have to deal with them in some way. And what I see here is I see Shift Up doing its best to get us to listen to consumers and get us there. And this is fighting against Sony, who has a lock on your game, not only financially, but because that's the only console that the game is available on. Getting Sony to shift is also truly impressive. So this is, we've gone from people saying this will never work to people saying it didn't work enough. And that's not the right way to look at that. If you want to look at every little win as a defeat, you're never going to win the war. If you want to climb the mountain, you got to take the foothill.
So I had a question, and I did think that the campaign was unusual, to be quite frank, because I thought Stellarblade in of itself, in the version that shipped, was already a massive win. Without any kind of change.
It was, yeah.
So I don't know any people on the left who thought that there was any kind of victory to be gained, even with the costume changes and the lack of gore, or the reduction in gore. I don't see how they would have, like you were talking about, the left managed to, they managed to crow about every single change that goes in their favor. I didn't hear much along those lines. But on the other hand, seeing this victory, I'm not against it. Like, congratulations. But I did think it was a bit tilting at windmills at first when I first heard about it.
Well, it wasn't, it was a huge win, but the problem was, the mistake they made was Shift Up, the company, and Stellarblade tweeted that the game would be uncensored.
Right.
And they had marketed one thing, right, and shown us one outfit and delivered another. That was a strategic error on their part. If they had never said that, it probably never would have ballooned to this size.
Good
but
point.
Pressure works, but pressure of different kinds. With Helldivers, obviously review bombing worked, financial pressure worked, and in the case of Stellarblade, Asian studio, very different mentality. You can't go yelling at them. You have to be polite. You have to,
Right.
get your point across diplomatically, and you got to give them a little room to save face, right? You got to give them a little room to say, yeah, this was our creative vision, but here you go anyways. That's a very important subtlety that I don't think Western gamers appreciate. And here's how you judge the size of the victory. You don't judge it by looking at what you gained. You judge it by looking at what the other side lost. And I can tell you right now that they are salty as F about this right now. I don't know if you could pull this up. This is Paul Tassi from Forbes magazine, who is just so bitter this morning that a game company would have the audacity to listen to its customers and respond. So you can blow that up there. And
You know what that reminds me of is when
Well, let's read it for the people that might be listening only and not able to see it. Can we read that real quick?
Stellarblade has gotten its first major patch, which adds more significant new changes, content, and ends. It's really small. That ends one of its most bizarre controversies at launch. Here's what's been added. Then it goes on to say the bad part of this culture war, folks here have been rewarded for frankly ridiculous campaign lambasting this game. The developers, Sony, everyone for the original outfit changes is some sort of conspiracy which does not exist. The outfits themselves are fine. Again, there are a dozen outfits, at least this revealing in the game, but this being a reward for this group and their behavior is not a great look. Anyway, the big thing is the boss rush mode, and that sounds like a fun thing to go and try. And now that I've maxed out, he just goes on to talk about whatever. So Paul Tassi here is basically saying the same thing that people were saying during the Snyder Cut stuff and the Sonic stuff.
Yeah, Paul is a big woke libtard. He covers games for Forbes. His rise to fame was knowing nothing about Destiny and talking about it and playing about it. And ever since then, he has taken a very firm stance. He mocked the petition. He said it would never happen. Nothing would ever come of it. And now he's eating crow. And it's awesome to see. You love to see it.
Yeah, I wish that there would be pressure to be able to take the DEI nonsense out of Starfield. And I'm not talking about the pronoun intro. I'm talking about the game itself, which has made it dull as dishwater.
Oh yeah, there's so many problems with Starfield. I think beyond DEI, it's just an old model that they never updated. They rested on their laurels, and meanwhile, Baldur's Gate had come out showing them how should really be done, and it was low effort. I'm sorry, it was low effort and rushed. And I remember when I said this back then, because I took one look at the start screen, and I got so much hate for this, and I said, you know what? If I was really proud of the game, I know what we did on WoW. We went back and we redid our start screen because we were so proud of that, of the work we had done in that game, that it wasn't even on the schedule. We just, one artist took a hit and said, look what I did to the start screen. And then, other artists chipped in because we were proud, and when a team is not proud, they're not going to think about, improving their start screen or anything like that. And Baldur's Gate 3 had a great start screen. It starts at the top of this fantasy land, and it pans down into the underworld terrain where you see the adventurers come forth through a gate. I mean, that's fantastic. Now, you can't always judge a game by its cover, right? But from that and everything I had heard about the development, I knew something was up. And so I think that's what happened with Starfield.
Yeah. I mean, we can go into Starfield. Why, there's a million. How come No Man's Sky lets you lift off and land? And it's it's a game that's been around for 6 years compared to Starfield. But okay, that's another discussion. But
anyway,
the relationship between all the people that are bossing you around was tiresome. That's the DEI part I'm talking about. Like, really, they could have made those characters as interesting as their original, from Skyrim. I mean, they had great characters in Skyrim, and here they were dull as dishwater. So,
well, Elon agrees with you. He just tweeted this morning, DEI kills art. This is in
Yep.
response to Ubisoft making a historical character, Yasuke, a gay black samurai in the upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows.
That's an option. You can play him as gay. That apparently.
That's true. He's bisexual. So you can
Because that was a thing back then all the time.
Yeah, and so yeah, so that was amazing. Elon is a big gamer. I mean, I had the pleasure of him giving me a tour of SpaceX. We talked for 2 hours about space and games, and he's the real deal. He's a real gamer. I can tell you that. And he does play. And so this is great to see. And it's not the first time he's tweeted about it either. He definitely is pro gamer.
Oh yeah, I think that's been pretty obvious for a long time. And somebody who I'm not 100% sure is
trucks.
What was that?
He also likes making rusting trucks, but that's a different discussion.
Oh, well, it's somebody who may be a gamer. I don't know. Let's ask him. Jonas J. Campbell of That Part Place.
Hello. I play lots of Nintendo and an unfortunate amount of.
I love all the Nintendos.
So glad to be here. And hello, Mark.
Hey, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Congrats on the victory. I may have delayed my arrival here a little bit because, I have a house full of kids, so I don't get to play games like that. Not that I would, of course. But congrats on the uncensoring there.
Thanks, but it's really, really the gamers. I mean, I always say we did it and you did it, because none of this happens without the groundswell of support. You guys talk about how you guys wish you had gamers in movies and television, and we're so lucky to have people who are really passionate and have an avenue to talk about this stuff and to push for change. So the thanks goes to everybody.
I think you're right, but also when they bring this up, it's not like the Sonic thing where it's general fan backlash. They're going to mention your name whenever this game comes up, and they're going to hate you for it. And I think you should take that as a badge of honor at this point.
I am tanking. That's what I say. It's a gamer term, right? A tank is someone that sits there, draws aggro, draws the fire, and absorbs the hits. And so I'm kind of like the guy up front acting as the shield. And I did have a plan for this. This was not an accident, right? People wanted to give up. I said, listen, and they wanted to refund the game. And I was like, no, they're actually doing good. Let's have our cake and eat it too. I said, let's do both. Let's support the game. Let's make the game a success, and let's get the outfits uncensored. Now we got 2. And we're going to ask for more. We're not stopping here. The petition's being delivered, and we're politely asking for more. And, even if we don't get it, this is a huge win, and we will get it the next time around. They're not going to try this, we're uncensored stuff again with their marketing come the PC release of the game. And other game companies are going to take notice of this, and they're going to change. They're going to start listening to gamers because they're going to see it's profitable. Because what's going to happen now that Shift Up has gone ahead and conceded on 2 outfits and maybe more, because we're still asking for more, you're going to see sales boost. You're going to see, in fact, there's so many people have been tweeting at me, I'm going out today buying a PS5 and buying this game. So that's
Grummz, can you ask for a Sailor Moon outfit?
What am I, the Sam the Miracle Worker here?
No. I'm just saying that if you're going to start making suggestions for Stellarblade, I would play it with a Sailor Moon outfit.
Okay.
And can we get them to take the trans stuff out of Super Mario while we're at it?
Paper?
Yes. Sorry. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
I think this is an interesting strategy in the sense that we've already got games that have failed. So you've got 2 sides. One, successful games can be made more successful, and bad games can be made bigger failures. Right? Isn't that your goal?
What,
are all our
bad games can be made bigger failures? Run that by me again.
So you've got the DC game with the they killed Batman.
I think I get what he's saying, but yeah.
I mean, don't buy the games that are suffused with DEI that are never going to be changed. We have to call out to Project Red, which used to be a great pirate Polish programming company, and now they've gone
super suck.
insane.
Yeah.
So, these are warning shots over them. If you're going to turn something woke, then we're not going to buy it. And
You're
if
right.
if you do something halfway good, we're going to ask for improvements.
That's my 2-year plan to stop the spread. Stop buying AAA
Stop
games
the
That's
spread.
my point.
that are woke and that are or that abuse the customers monetarily with excessive predatory microtransactions. I think this is a very important point. So let's take, for example, that last tweet where Elon responded to the Assassin's Creed Shadows thing. I could tell you that Ubisoft is the worst of the studios out there for DEI and ESG infection. There's no saving them, but they are depending on 2 games succeeding this year to save their butts. One is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and the other is the Star Wars game coming out. I forget the exact name. Outlaws, thank you. Don't buy those 2 games. You don't buy those 2 games, you are going to send a clear message. No petition is going to work here with Assassin's Creed Shadows. The infection is spread too far. They are not in your corner. It's important to recognize when companies are fighting for you as best as they can and when companies are actively fighting against you. Shift Up with Stellarblade is actually fighting for you. Yes, they have a profit motive, but they are more on your side than against you. Companies like Ubisoft and Warhammer, Games Workshop, are actively against you. And the only way to make any change there is to burn it to the ground and start over. So with Ubisoft, I'm with you, Paul. Burn that game to the ground. That's the only way they'll listen.
Of course, they're just going to stick it in a collections series all along the way. I mean, I still can't keep track of which Assassin's Creed came out in which order here. Sometimes they'll slip a number in there, but I have a feeling I'm accidentally going to buy this game sometime on a Humble Bundle at some point, and I'll have to figure out a way to remove it. I'm not saying that's a real boycott. If you get it, I'm not saying that negates the boycott. I'm just saying they're going to have trouble giving it away the same way that they keep trying to slip Ghostbusters 2016.
They don't want to sell you a box copy. They don't. They want you to sign up for the Ubisoft service, their player pass or whatever it is. They're chasing the Netflix model, and that's why they did the price framing the way they did. The tactic where you put they're selling the game for $130 with everything included. Shoot. and they're not expecting you to spend $130, but you know what they put right next to that $130? Play the game for what is it, $19.95, by joining our player pass system. That's what they want. They want you to go to there, and a lot of gamers are going to be like, okay, I'll sub for a month and I'll play the game and then I'll unsub. And I wouldn't even do that, because that helps their numbers when they can say, how many active users they have, how many people signed up this quarter. And people often forget to cancel their subscriptions. So I wouldn't even do that. I think you have to take a very hard line with Ubisoft. And if you don't want, Gay Black Samurai being gaslit as historically accurate, which is my problem with it, is the historical accuracy part of it and how they're editing Wikipedia to support this and change actual history, then I think you have to be very, very clear and not give them a dime.
I do feel badly that this has, to the general public, has come out as being, against including a black character in a video game.
That's their spin. That's what
a messy situation.
Yeah, that's what they want to make it seem like. You don't want a black character in video games, and it shouldn't be about that at all. But they're gonna that's the narrative they're gonna run with, and unfortunately, that when you take the mass market into account, the fear is still there. They're gonna be like, okay, that's kind of a weird decision for a game to go with, a Gay Black Samurai in Japan. And and they're not worried about offending the Japanese with historical inaccuracies, because they're a small part of the market now. So Ubisoft is going to push this, and they're going to say you're racist if you don't buy it. And they've done this with movies, and look at what's happening in Doctor Who, right?
Well, yeah, wow. Yeah, and there's no amount of petitions that's going to change any specific show. I mean, it's one of the benefits of a game is like Stellarblade, is that you can make updates to it over time. Cyberpunk has had lots of updates.
Yeah.
But you can't do that to a show. It's committed to tape.
Well, let's see what the audience is saying.
Yeah, let's see what the audience is saying.
Horseradish Power says he arrived to hear you say slabs of meat, Shadow. That's, you can't sue us, but go ahead and sue him. I can't control anything he says. So I just thought I'd bring that to everybody's attention. Let's see here. We'll get back to the other ones here, but let's get to the Grummz ones first. Let's see here. We got Samurai Vader, who sends in 5 and says, Grummz, Team Fortress 2 fans doing their own movement to get TF2 fixed. They mentioned your efforts with WoW Vanilla and are planning something similar. So there you go. You're already inspiring
good for
people.
them. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but if you guys are taking a template model and applying it from what we did for Vanilla WoW and what we did on Stellarblade, that can work. But the company has to be leaning a little bit towards you for petition to work, right? Blizzard was leaning a little, leans towards fans for the most part. Old Blizzard, not current Blizzard. And Steam and Valve definitely leans towards fans. So that might be a good tactic for Team Fortress 2. Again, I don't know what the issue is. I'm just talking off the cuff here.
That's Epic, though, right?
I'm sorry. No. You're thinking Fortnite.
Oh,
this
Fortnite.
This is Team Fortress 2. Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's Valve.
Yeah. But Epic also, I know gamers don't feel this way, but I know Tim, and they do lean pro gamer. So, I think if something were to occur with Epic Games, there is a possibility there, but they tend to be a little slower and a little less proactive than Steam and Valve.
All right, now we got Warachi sending in $20. Holy crap, Oli, thank you so much. Says, for Grummz, I started WoW, that's World of Warcraft, right? On 1105 as a wee Forsaken warrior, tank named Abominus on Cenarian, I'm sure I'm screwing this up, Cenarian Cirque RP server. Thank you for the world you created. Thanks for the fun world where we made stories, friends, and great memories.
You're welcome. RP servers are interesting. And wow.
Role playing is a unique place to do WoW. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cenarian Circle was cool. I started on Asdril Nerub back when the game launched.
Right.
So,
and then
loved it.
Oh, sorry.
I was just saying I loved it. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Grummz, you are a massive tanking paladin when it comes to this stuff. So keep it up.
Indeed. Indeed. We got Horseradish Power sending in another £2 and says, is Andre trying to get Stellarblade on the Sega Mega Drive? Well, maybe.
He wants everything unlocked on the Mega Drive.
Yes. I told him he could watch. Sorry, what'd you say?
I don't think it has the horsepower.
Probably not. The Horseradish Power. Oh. Then we got, let's see here. We got Malice Flair who says, we don't take Tassi seriously. He's pro MS.
Multiple sclerosis?
That's horrible. Microsoft.
Oh. Okay. And then we got this one here, Chaos Sonic 1, who says with 5 Grummz, you're going to be okay after that jerk doxes you and you're going to lawyer up against him. Personally, I recommend lawyering up since he deserves comment. Well, I don't even know if you really want to talk about this.
Yeah, I can't because he's threatening legal actions. So,
sorry, Chaos Sonic 1. He can't really get into it, but yeah.
You need me to get you in touch with Ron Coleman? He's pretty good.
I know Ron.
There you go.
I know. I think I'm in a DM with you and Ron, maybe.
Yeah.
So sorry about that, but unfortunately can't get into that today. Horseradish Power also sends another £2 to remind us that DEI means you didn't earn it.
Well, no, that's not entirely true. Just recently, a woman who was head of DEI at Meta and then got fired for stealing about $4 million from Facebook, and then she got a job at Nike, stole another $1 million before they caught up with her, and now she's going to jail for five years. So yeah, that's what you do. You get a high quality DEI hire that steals money from you, and steals money from you. Like what's neat is all money going to the DEI department is stolen anyway, regardless. But she, ladled it on with illegal activity. Good for her.
Right? Kind of like BLM and shit.
Oh,
Maximum Timaeus sends in 5 and says, I've heard they only added 2 outfits, but the previous censored outfits are still unchanged. Is this correct? This sounds like we're being bought.
Well,
Well,
that's correct, and this is the way it was always going to be. I knew it was always going to be an additional unlock because it does 2 things. One is it doesn't change the appearance of players who have gotten used to the outfits, and some of them do prefer that outfit. You know, my son prefers that outfit, for example. He's 19. And the other is that it gives players incentive to play the game more because they want to get the unlocks. So yeah, that's always the way it was going to be. And I think more options, more better.
no, and I like the point that you made is like little victories are you still got to take them victories, and this all or nothing mentality is a problem. I was going to bring this up earlier too, because I've seen this in the entertainment side of things when, because Andre and I will point out, like, if they do something right, we should reward them, right? X-Men 97, great example, right? The ratings for it aren't the greatest, but can we blame people for not tuning into to Marvel stuff now? No. But at the same time, there's a lot of people talking good about it, so I think people should watch it, show Disney what we like, what we want. I don't see where a complete boycott of everything always works. Because sooner or later they're just going to give up on you, right? They're just not going to care about trying to appease you at all. I mean, when they have very little care already, what's the sense of just letting it go? Because then they're just going to keep doing what they're doing and destroying what you love. You got to take the victories you can. Every hill you take is a victory, and it means something. And I think that was a very good point.
If you're fighting World War II and you take one town and you'd be like, oh man, we didn't take the city, and you go out and the generals are like, we lost, we didn't get everything we wanted, you'd lose the entire war, wouldn't you? You have to take the little victories that are actual victories and go out there and say, we did this when people told us it was impossible. We did the impossible, and we took one step, and we're going to take another impossible step and another impossible step, and we will keep advancing. That's how you win it. And everyone out there that is discouraged by this, don't be discouraged by this. Like, again, this is like if you've ever tried to lose weight, this is the same mentality. It's like people step on the scale the first week and they get so discouraged, or working out, right? If any of you guys work out, you know that you don't get the gains right away. And you take every inch of muscle that you add, every pound of muscle that you add as a victory, as a positive thing in order to get going. Or if you've ever run a marathon, do you know what they say about running a marathon? You don't look at the finish line. You're always looking at the next curb, the next manhole, the next light post, and you take that one at a time and you make yourself feel good about it, and you tell everybody, you show everybody that you're winning the race, and you do it that way.
I look at the ass of the guy in front of me.
Well, that's because, I got news for you.
I thought you were a Sailor Moon guy.
He's dressed like Sailor Moon chasing after the guy.
As long as
understood.
dressed like Sailor Moon.
Yes, he's dressed like Sailor Moon, and they're just like running away. We're like, why is this Sailor Moon man chasing us?
Now, Grummz, don't you think the Battlefront episode was a victory?
You got to remind me. Is this before I stepped into the gaming culture war?
Well, no, but that was the loot box. That was like the
loot box stuff.
The major loot box kerfuffle.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Refresh my memory. What happened? So people were upset about the loot boxes. They did calculations to show how much it would cost to actually obtain all the loot in these boxes, and it was an astronomical figure. And then
you couldn't get Luke. Like, you couldn't play Luke or you couldn't play Darth unless you bought them.
That's right. That's right. You couldn't even get there without spending a bunch of money. And then that actually led to legislation in Europe, right? Mm-hmm. That was anti-loot box. And so that's why all of that had to be changed. Yeah, that's a major win.
Now we just have to keep doing it. You're right. I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, and I remember that. I do remember that. I bought this was back when I was still prepaying for games, buying in advance. But I bought like the highest end so I could have all those cards to collect, so I could have access to those particular characters quickly. And it still was a grind, and it was incredibly frustrating. It was definitely very play to winny. So not good.
Game loving lovers sends in $10. Thank you for the 10. Says nothing was uncensored. The original outfits are still censored, and the new bunny outfit covers up even more with the tights. Not a win, a slight compromise at best.
I think the outfit looks better. They took the thigh panels and they made them transparent instead of completely cut up the sides. And I think that for me, that's aesthetically better. But even if you don't agree, don't black pill. Don't give up now. You just started. This is a long fight. Keep fighting and take the wins and show them to Paul Tassi and shove it down his throat. That's how you do it. That's how you win.
Yeah, and then on the Hyperguyver 2 says, put a sword bearer in it and make him black and gay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they did. And then Marksman of 11-7B says, hi, Grummz, you watch Unicorn Wars yet?
No. Oh, darn it. People keep telling me about that. I have yet to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's been on my list of things to get to eventually here, too. But let's see here. I think this has something to do with what you're talking about, because I have no idea what this is. Samurai Vader sends in 5 and says, issue with TF2 is that it's filled with cheater and bots for several years and life support from Valve in general. Wheezy TF2 has a good video on it. I'm not sure what TF2. What is TF2?
Team Fortress.
Yeah, sounds like it's being overrun and Valve isn't giving it enough attention. So yeah, the more gamers play the game and are vocal about it, the more chances you have to change that.
There you go. And then we've got Accident Seller here says, Kern, I play BM Dwarf Hunter in WoW since 2005. Hardcore has been fun. RP, walk, red, quest logs. I map every cave.
Hunter.
I love the original.
I'm a hunter.
Modon Start Zone.
I'm with you. Thank you.
There you go, Accident Seller. And Grummz, he says,
Tom, you have no idea what you just read.
I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying. I am Anchorman right now. If you just put words in front of me, I'll say them.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'm not kidding.
I only barely know what Casmodan is at this point, but yes, that's
I'm just
hilarious.
sitting here just reading this stuff aloud. I'm like, you could put Purple Monkey Dishwasher in front of me right now, and I would just read it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you never played these games, Tom?
No, I told you I'm like Anchorman right now.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Friendship over.
What? WoW is and be careful. That's like introducing somebody. Well, I'm not going to talk.
I can play the hell out of Galaga.
Like introducing somebody to cigarettes right now. It's a very addictive game.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't play games, guys, to be honest with you, is they are very addicting. That's one of the reasons why I avoid them. Because the few times I have gotten into playing games, it consumes my life. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 took 2 weeks of my life. Just poof.
Yeah, like any good thing, you got to be careful, but in moderation.
Well, I'm not good at moderating that kind of thing. It's probably a good thing I didn't really care for the first person side of the RoboCop game, or I'd probably been lost in that game for 2 weeks. Right. And then I'm also lucky the Ninja Turtle games are quick and easy. Like a lot of my dates.
Hey.
I think one of the biggest issues for me is that we're now dreading the next version of a game. Like I can't remember when I ever dreaded it. Like the next version of Skyrim, I now dread. Like I was really anxious for it. I love Skyrim. I've played it I don't know how many times with every single character, and now I'm not interested because I don't trust them.
Yeah, the default is to assume that a AAA game is going to suck in some way.
Yeah,
and that's sad. And I think that that leads into your point that every time you see a black character, you just assume the game's going to suck, and that's not true either. And that's unfortunate, and it hurts the industry. and and it hurts real representation, right? Not the tokenism and the self inserts and the weak characters that we're seeing now, but the real, when we did a Black Paladin in Diablo 2, right? So this, we never thought about doing it for DEI reasons. We just thought it'd be really cool, and it was. This is unfortunate, but it's not something of our making. It's something of their making. They did this by shoveling so much garbage about it and so much and politicizing it so much. If they had never done that, you'd see a lot better and wider representation today that gamers are really happy about.
Well, I was so hyped up over the Andromeda Mass Effect. I mean, again, I'm
Is your face tired?
I'm like, yeah. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. I still play multiplayer Mass Effect 3. It's still online. It's still a great game. And in fact, it's very much like Helldiver, like the tiny version of Helldiver 2. I mean, it is the
I love Mass
precursor to it.
Effect as a series. I really enjoyed the first 3, and I did try Andromeda for a little while, and
Terrible.
boy, yeah, it was really bad.
One thing I'll say about the DEI stuff is, diversity is not really a problem, but these people are so proud of what they're doing. They make their intentions clear, and they make their intention to destroy current culture so clear that if we could start there, instead of emphasizing, okay, well, a black samurai, that actually does sound pretty cool when you think about it. But the fact that they're trying to do it and say it's historical and say it's all these other things, and also he can play as bisexual, they're on a religious quest, and if they want to reform the world in their own, collectivist, constructivist image, whatever, it's woke, it's destructive. They brag about it, and they do us the favor of bragging about it. So,
right.
I try to focus there. If it's just somebody happens to be black, okay, whatever.
I want a black samurai in Brooklyn now.
I left the link. I left the link in the private chat. I watched the latest J-Lo Netflix movie because I'm a mech
on purpose.
Nut. Yes, because I'm a mech nut.
Oh.
I watch everything with mechs in it. Sorry,
Okay.
that's my addiction.
I saw the clip where she ripped off Alien.
Yeah, yes, and I just left the clip where the mech has pronouns.
Oh no.
Yes, it's in the list. If you want to play it, it's very tiny.
Yeah, I'll try. It's like 5 seconds. I think we can get away with it.
Anything under 7.
It's 7 seconds exactly.
Yeah.
What the hell happened here?
I can't see it.
What
I can
just
hear it.
happened?
I don't know. Whatever it is, stop it.
There we go. I don't know what happened, but okay.
Oh, okay then. Wait, how did it know I wanted coffee? I'm sorry, but my pronouns are she and her, not
fuck your
good.
machine.
Oh, come on.
Fuck your machine. This is how the fucking war against the machine starts, guys. Right now. This is it. That's it right there. The machine, the sentients start going, I would like you to call me by me pronoun. Fuck you. You have no pronouns. You're a machine. All right. Accident Seller sends in 50 Norwegian krona and says, Grummz, I say it as a dwarf hunter. How are ye? I keep your feet on the ground. Watch your back. See you soon. I don't know what they sound like.
What a Cosmodon.
There you go.
Wasn't any of that, I can tell you.
Hey, I just created my own character.
Too bad. It's kind of Scottish.
Night elf mohawk.
I was thinking, oh yeah, dwarf. Yeah. You'll have to toss me.
If it's not
That was
Scottish,
good. It
it's
was
crap.
Right? It's not
Crap.
Scottish, it's crap.
B Risens 116 sends in a $1.99. 199 says, how can we apply these to Mario TTYD?
1,000-year door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what he's talking about is obviously how they altered the localization to take a femboy and to put them in the bucket of trans, and they're making it a trans victory thing. This is what they do, right? This is the little victory they have, and they are so loud about it, and you are so upset about it. We are all upset about it, right? But you don't see them blackpilling over this. And this is a lesson that we should apply. It's like, okay, we have to take these victories and run with it. And I actually have, and unfortunately lost to the original tweet from the Nintendo Treehouse localizer, who was so proud of getting this change in that tweeted about it a month ago, said, I did it. I got him to change it. So, what can we do there? Well, from what I'm told, Treehouse, which is the U.S. office, right? That's where the English localizers are. They get woke every couple of years, and then Nintendo Japan comes over and kind of cleans house once it gets too messy. This happened about 5 years ago. So I think you have to let Nintendo Japan know that you're unhappy with that choice, but you have to honor the original creator's intent too. The original creator definitely wanted to be one of the flavors of sexuality and gender presentation that is in Japan. But you got to understand, it's more open there, and they have about 9 or 10 different flavors, right? What is the problem is that they have grossly ignored the creator's original intent. And shoehorned it into a political trans issue. And then the issue I have with it personally is that we are at a point now where there is so much pressure on kids and gender and forced gender therapy, and it's such a big business that I don't think we should be talking about this in kids' games. So that's my stance on it. But the way to get through is to wake Nintendo Japan up about it, so that they come over to the US and clean house at Treehouse again.
It's basically the new cigarettes.
I don't know how much of it's in Nintendo games, but anime, it's suffuse with gay characters. I mean, watch Kill la Kill if you want just an outrageous gay experience. I mean, it's a fantastic anime.
And this is where people get mad at me, because I'm actually left of center, and I think as long as you're a consenting adult, you can do what you want to do. Yeah. And I also see the future coming, and in the future we're going to digitally upload and everything, and gender is not going to matter at some point. We're not there yet, obviously, but like I said, the issue I had is sort of kind of like how they politicized it, and they didn't honor the flavor that the original creator intended, and they tried to make it a trans allegory. They tried to make it a political statement, and it was very obvious from this one tweet that I wish I still had, that this localizer was pushing it for political motives. So I don't think that honors the original creation. I think we're in a sensitive time where I don't want to see that in a kid's game to begin with.
Right.
But yeah, but I also, hey, if you want to identify as whatever, I'm okay with that, as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Well, I think most people on the panel will say that, but I just got to say this about the digitally uploading your thing and that gender won't matter. That is how we lose the war against the machine, guys. I'm just telling you, the movies have been warning us. They're gonna just don't listen to me.
I don't like it either. I mean, I look at that picture and, I think we lose a lot, but this is where I get, maybe I put my Elon Musk hat on and my futurist hat. If there is a universe out there filled with intelligent life and you want to compete with that, humanity's got to change, right? And I tell my kids, you're probably the last generation of unaugmented humans, because the next generation is either going to be CRISPR altered genetically, like they're doing in China with experiments there, or you're going to be augmented with AI. You're already augmented in a sense. You've got a phone that makes you smarter than anything before the web was invented. You just have to know how to use it. So once that's in your head, you're going to remove the last barrier and you will no longer be human. This is why I get sad about science fiction. As this stuff becomes real, when I read science fiction stories about humans going to the stars and exploring things, I can't really suspend my disbelief that much, because I think the most efficient way we're going to do it is to beam ourselves as information throughout the universe, as conscious information. And it really bums me out, man, because it's hard for me to enjoy certain types of sci-fi now.
So you think we're going to be stacks?
I'm not plugging into the Matrix. I don't give a shit.
And you think we're going to be digitally transferred place to place?
Not even stacks. I think there'll be nothing physical. I think that we will travel as particles, light speed particles, and information that's sentient. And that's the way humanity can efficiently propagate the stars. That's assuming that you can't cross the light speed barrier. If you can cross the light speed barrier, then all bets are off. But right now, that is ultimately the most efficient way that humanity, whatever that is in that form, colonizes the universe.
Well, I would miss stories like Stanislaw Lem's The Invincible, You know, that to me is a phenomenal piece of science fiction. I would miss
We got
that.
Yeah, and then we got Accident Seller sending another 20 Norwegian kroner. Says Grummz, you watched Space Battleship Yamada 21.99.
I watched one remake. Is this a newer one?
I couldn't tell you.
I have a model of the battleship Yamato, Space Battleship Yamato, looking at it right now on my shelf. Yeah, I love that series. So I'll go back and review that. I don't know if that's the one I watched or not. I watched one remake. I loved it. And if there's a new one, I'll watch that too.
Investigator sends in €5 for Grummz and says, just wanted to say that Grummz is roasting Wokies like a boss. Please keep up the good fight. SC1D2, our original fan here.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
And then Accident Seller sends in another 20 Norwegian kroner. Says, Mark, did you help design, Dun Moreau Starter Zone?
No, I did
I say that wrong?
But I probably helped ruin the design of Stormwind. So we were trying to do a city, right? And it was our first city. And we were having a problem with getting it to render fast enough on people's PCs because it was so dense. So I came into the office with a map of Venice one day, Venice, Italy, and I said the answer is canals. We'll chop it up and we'll do viz blocking this way, and it worked, but at the expense of a good city layout. So yeah, so that I did not do Dunmurrow, but that is something that I did do. And that I probably could have done better. It did work. And we figured it out eventually. We figured out how to do viz blocking in efficient ways without having to carve stuff up into sectors like that.
All right. We'll keep going here because we got a few more to go before we can get to our next topic here. And we'll get on that shortly, guys. So for those who are getting tired of the game stuff, don't worry. We're getting there. I see a few people are getting a little restless. Last call with Troy Pacelli says Purple Monkey Dishwasher Rhubarb. That's right. And that's important. And speaking of Purple Monkey Dishwasher, we have Yellowflash joining us. You're not purple, but
you're moving off of games. You're not going to Star Wars, are you?
Not yet.
Oh.
Packing Proton says catch you on the replay helping 107.1 boss fund raise for charity by filling a radio event live. Now, yeah, I saw your picture up there, Packing Protons. Hopefully that goes well.
Sorry, I was a little late, but I was watching the Ricada arraignment. I wanted to see what was going on there.
All right. Victor Von Doom sends in $4.99. Says, I woke up to the good news. Grummz, you are the man. There you go.
We did it. Thank you.
And he said, that's filming. Dumb phone, Packing Protons. Oh, no worries. We got you. And oh my God, what the heck is this? I think Morgan King wants me to raise a Cthulhu.
No, it's one of the languages in WoW.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he translated it for you.
In this house, Riley, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. Put works in front of him. No. I could try that. Cthulhu, Arlay, that's about the best you're gonna get. Barata, yeah. That's about the best I can get out of that one. And then we got
all of a sudden I have a flashback to Ford Fairlane. I don't know why.
Chaos Sonic 1 says with $5, the only games I am looking forward to are Hyper Dimension, Neptunia games, and Sonic X Shadow Generations. Yes.
Yeah, Neptunia is a big fan service game, so hopefully that doesn't get censored for you.
All right. Well, now let's keep moving along here. We got a few more, I think, on the game front. We got Kalekioki, who says you want to make a statement. Just go purchase the original Paper Mario 1,000-Year Door. Don't even have to buy it directly from Nintendo.
You could even get a really nice copy that works on this thing called Dolphin. Oh, it's great. That's what you should play it on, the Dolphin GameCube.
Is that like an emulator GameCube thing, or what is it?
Yeah, it's an emulator.
Okay. That's what I thought. Accident Seller says, Mark, thoughts on Microsoft Recall?
Oh, geez. All right. So do you guys know what Recall is? The new Windows 11 feature?
You mean hey, we're gonna data track you in ways you never thought possible?
Yeah, they're gonna screenshot everything you do, and then you can go back and search it with AI. So that if you ever looked at a picture of a leather handbag, you can just type leather handbag, and it'll say, "Oh, you bought this handbag on January whatever 1965," or whatever it's gonna do. Yeah, this is and they say, "Don't worry, it's all local. It's at the edge." They mean edge of network. Well, that's like saying that's just the tip, right? So what this is highly problematic, highly invasive, because even if the data is local to your system, the first thing a hacker is going to do when they get control of your system is look through your recall, and they are not. The AI isn't smart enough, or they're unwilling to blank things out, like the passwords you type or your bank account
Oh shit.
information or
Right.
anything
Yeah.
like this. And now here's the thing: do you really trust Microsoft to keep your data as safe as they say they will? We already have what's called Windows telemetry. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but on Windows 11, you can't turn it off, and it's there on Windows 10, where it's basically logging all your keystrokes and it's sending data to Microsoft all the time, right? This is something that, privacy people like me were up in arms about, but nobody cared, nobody listened. And Microsoft is counting on you to forget. Just like Facebook, every time they invaded your privacy and added another tracker, they came out and apologized, but they just added more later on. They boiled the frog on privacy. So with recall, what can happen is that even if they never upload your screenshots to Microsoft, what they can do is there's nothing that says they can't remote query in aggregate. And they always say, well, we can't individually identify users. Okay, but you could say, hey, how many people looked at this leather handbag? Right? And they could get an answer back from that with Windows telemetry. They can ask a lot of data questions. They can own data that they don't have access to normally, data that normally belongs to other companies you do business with and interact with their website. So say like your banking website and your balances, right? Only the bank knows that. But now Microsoft could run a query and they'll hide behind we're just asking it as a group. We're not individually looking at people's balances. They can say how many people at Chase Manhattan have deposits of this amount, how many have the deposits of that amount. They haven't talked about any of this stuff. What are they going to do with Windows telemetry and Windows recall when they combine the two? So I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And that's the thing is, any of these kind of tools, when they come out, it makes me wonder who could use them for nefarious means and how long will it take till they figure it out? And yeah, it's
data grab. Before we lost this war, I asked a person who is heavily into stats and calculated them for consumer research at Fortune 500 companies. I talked with her about this theory of mine, and I was trying to do a video on it where I quit Facebook, but there's an awful lot of people who aren't on Facebook. But I asked her, is it possible, just with the sheer volume of Facebook users out there and the information that Facebook Meta is collecting about the people that are, while outside of Facebook, are part of the friends circle of individuals who are in Facebook, doesn't Facebook already know everything about everybody in that friend circle, whether they're in Facebook or not? Because that the group in Facebook is talking about people not just within Facebook, but out, like their entire friends group. And she said, yeah, Facebook, you do not have to be part of Facebook for Facebook to know everything about you, because there's now enough people talking about you.
Right. And I'll just add, even from a secondary standpoint, they're seeing that you're pinging the same Wi-Fi as these people. If any of them have given access to their contacts, they now have this other person who's not on Facebook's phone number and their name. There's so much information that people accidentally give to Facebook. There was part of me that I was trying to figure this out, and the only solution I have is having a phone number that I never give to anyone ever. But obviously that has its own problems to it. I hate Facebook. Hate it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I just use it for communication anymore, and that's just it. Anyway. Marks 11.7b sends in $4.99 and says, "Oh my God, to prove Grumm's point, the woke are righty now right now celebrating, I think he means, a localizer changing one line of dialogue to make one background character trans in Mario." Yeah, that's what they do, one little piece at a time. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
They're excited to play the gay ghost.
Listen, we've been losing for so long. If you want to win, you've got to learn from the success of your enemies. Don't get blackpilled. Don't get discouraged. Do what they do. When you get a win, be loud about it. Be very, very loud. Take the win and push for the other inch, right? We always say, well, you give them an inch, they take a mile. We're going to take that mile, but you're not going to do it if you refuse the inch. Boy,
Yep.
that sounds really sexual and bad. I'm sorry.
It does, but that's all right.
So you're saying
Because
with
it turned me
Stellarblade,
on.
they shouldn't. Never mind.
All right. On that note,
Thank you for being here, Grummz. I appreciate it, brother.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Have a good
Have
day.
fun. I'm going to go celebrate. Bye.
Yeah, so Flash, you missed
Hi, Mark.
most of
Hold on, I'll
most
be
of the
right
game
back. I want to
talk,
watch.
buddy.
I got to see something. I'll be right back.
No problem. No problem. All right, we got a few more super chats we can get to in the meantime before we get to the other main topics here. We've got Eclipse Warlord sent in a member chat for 29 months who says, F cancer, lost too many people due to that. Hell yeah, I agree, brother. Aunt, cousin, and 2 friends, long grandmother discovered too late. Oh, too bad, man. Sorry to hear that. Dog blood. Oh, another friend in March. Yeah, cancer is. It sucks. It is horrible. I mean, yeah, I lost a grandma to it too. Alec Baldwin's trigger finger sends in 5 and says the rising cost of fast food is causing many to stop eating it. All Spurlock has to do is wait for Biden. Yeah, true. Yeah. And Jason Webster says with an Australia 5, there's an American woman working as a chef in Australia. She said Australia has way better food preparation service regulations than US. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of countries that have. They did a study a few years back. I'm sure Culture might remember this, where they basically said that the restaurants have better, cleaner bathrooms than their actual kitchens in most of them.
Yeah, that isn't surprising, and I remember that. Yeah, I look. I mean, you if you've ever worked in one of those kitchens, which I did for a world record 2 hours total at McDonald's in high school.
Too many years for my life.
Yeah. So I recall just how poorly the restaurant adhered to food safety standards. It was amazing.
Yeah. That's why I would love to try some like that. I would love to try some food outside of America. I bet I'd be surprised.
Oh, it's delicious. It is.
Yeah. And then ActionCom, sadly, this happened over the weekend, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it Monday. A huge loss. Dabney Coleman, rest in peace, of course. All sorts of films. Best known for things like 9 to 5, War Games, Cloak and Dagger. A great comedic actor. Did you ever get a chance to meet him, Paul, at all?
No, I haven't. But I mean, he was, when I was involved in LA in the 90s, late 80s and 90s, he was an actor that the studios are constantly trying to stick into a sitcom. And every sitcom.
I remember, yeah.
He was just in half a dozen sitcoms, just like Jack Elam. Jack Elam, they just were desperate to try to find that wall-eyed guy, some kind of vehicle to put him in. Danby was his most successful one, I think, was he was playing a really nasty reporter. Can't remember.
Well, he always played the jerks the better. He was really good at that.
But again, part of the problem with television is that you're bringing your favorite relative into the living room. You're not bringing in someone you don't like into your living room. That's the nature of TV, or it was at the time. And Danby, I mean, again, the stuff was way too sophisticated for the audience, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, Jonas, I sadly, you got to leave us. I was hoping you
sorry about that.
For the George Lucas talk, but we didn't get to it yet.
Yeah, I showed up right at the start of Super Chats, and
it's
Grummz. He's amazing.
Yeah, sorry about that. I apologize.
Yeah,
Jonas, your thoughts on Dabney, or I don't know if you got to catch it to read any of the stuff from George. We're gonna get into, but if you want to say anything about it.
As far as Dabney, I'll comment on Dabney Coleman because I've only read a little bit of the George Lucas stuff. When you have somebody who is so good at playing a role and not worried about whatever typecasting or whatever you want to call it, I can see why they would want him in a sitcom over and over and over again, because he's just got that. He's so good at playing that person who looks like he's accomplished something, but is also so easily angered. Rest in peace, of course. He'll be missed. And I say this over and over again. I miss that sitcom mentality. I kind of wish that entertainment would get back to that. 26 seasons of something people would want to sit down and, like you said, invite them into their home for a little while. But of course, many companies right now are stupid and don't want to do that. Bob Iger in particular. So thanks for having me on. Sorry that it didn't work out.
No, that's okay, brother. I'm glad you were able to make it, and even if it was just for a short time. And check out that Park Place. And anything else you want to plug before you head out?
No, thank you so much for having me on. We just had a bizarre stream going over the issues at Gideon's Bakehouse at Disney Springs. And you wouldn't think it would be an entertaining stream to talk about this union push, but I actually think the crowd here at Midnight's Edge, if you haven't seen that stream, you might want to go check that one out. It's I have never seen a unionization complaint that was more frivolous in my life.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is pure wackadoodle stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, love you guys.
Take care of yourself. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you. You too. And Paul, I really missed being on a stream with you, man. Good to see you.
Well, I can wear my dad's flight jacket.
There you go.
I said it was a cool jacket. You set me up. You trapped me. All right.
Oh, right. No, what's still a cool jacket?
It is, but it's like saying, the great thing.
It looked good on you, though.
Even though fascism is horrible, it creates its most excellent headwear. Anyways,
but you know what? War is a strange thing. It still involves humans, and yes, I mean, I modeled my dad's jacket. He was in the Hungarian Air Force, and therefore was fighting on the side of the Germans, which people didn't really realize when they were commenting on it. But I mean, it is what it is. What are you going to do?
It's right. As I said, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, but does it change the jacket, or do you think less of me now?
No, of course not. I've got we've got some parentage in common here from back in the old country, maybe.
Actually, I take that back.
Of course, it's just as likely that our relatives might have hated each other, but
quite. Yeah. Although my dad fought on the Russian front, so
well, Russo-Carpathian. If I'm not localizing myself too much here, I think that's so difficult to track that no one is going to be able to dox me from that.
Any relation to Vigo?
That's the first thing that came up as soon as I found out that the Carpathians were involved.
Although the guy who was doing that in Ghostbusters was doing a Hungarian accent.
Peter McNichol. Love it. All right. This is the longest goodbye ever.
The buzzing of flies to him. Exactly. Take care, Jonas.
See ya.
We love you, brother. And our next super chat gets us to the box office finally. That's right. Jason Webster sends in a $5 Australian super chat. I'm sure he has a little bit of investment being Australian in Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which, frankly, from what I hear from a lot of my friends that are Australian, are not big fans of these last two films. But we'll get into that in just a moment here. It only earned $3.5 million from its Thursday night previews. It's projected to earn a US $40 to $45 million on its opening weekend. I think they might be being generous.
Me too.
Jason gets us onto our first topic of the day. That's right. Furiosa has stalled out a bit at the box office, wouldn't you say, Culture?
The thing's dead. This is I called it Floppiosa today. I think that this is another one of those films that you're like, why did you make this? I mean,
and I remind people over and over again the last few days, right, Culture, that people forgot the last one flopped in theaters.
It didn't do good either. Yeah, I don't know why they keep making them. Look, nobody was interested in a prequel that didn't include Mad Max. And this is another film that does not include Mad Max, even though you could argue that there's a shot that maybe that was Mad Max, but not really, at least not explicitly. So it's like, look, I mean, it's like you're trying to do Star Trek without, your primary characters. It's the same problem. It's doing Star Wars without, your original trilogy stars. You cannot do it. It doesn't work. At least it doesn't work well because you didn't spend any time reestablishing things. You're just playing off of this name. And I don't know how to tell people this, but the first hour is not Anna Taylor-Joy. It's a little kid playing a young, 10 to 12 to maybe 15-year-old at best, towards the end, version of Furiosa, who, by the way, her name was originally Furiosa before she even was, brought into the wasteland, because she came from a place of abundance. And I'm not going to spoil the film. I'm just going to tell you, of a 2 hour and 22-minute film, there's 1 hour of actual movie. everything else is superfluous. It could have been left on the cutting room floor. This film is far too long, very hollow feeling. And, while Chris Hemsworth is definitely the best thing in this film as far as acting and everything else, and the stunts are spectacular, the practical effects are great. The CGI at the beginning is quite trash. And, this is another example of Hollywood making poo and then making sequel to poo. I guess this is prequel to poo. So, I mean, this is like the digestive process. I don't know, but it was bad. I would not waste money on this. If you want to see it, wait for streaming. It'll be out in less than 45 days because it's going to follow the same path as Fall Guy, probably. That's how bad.
Yeah, that was kind of going to be where I was going to go with this next because I don't know if anybody else on the panel saw it. I don't think so.
Yeah,
but
I was going to go see it. I was really going to see it, and then just the stuff started leaking out, and I went, "No, I don't see it."
It really does leak out too.
And that's kind of where, and I'm not trying to, rain on anybody who liked it or anything like that, or liked the last one or anything like that. But I was watching the trailer and I remember thinking to myself, this looks like it should be a streaming movie at best. Like, I don't understand why this is a movie. I can step aside all my issues with the last film and say, yes, Fury Road, if you look at it as kind of like this post-apocalyptical thing, as not necessarily a Mad Max movie, but something inspired by Mad Max, it's fine. My issues are aside. I'm still curious going, why would anybody still want this, even if they were a fan of that? Because we kind of get everything we need to know about the character in that last movie, don't you think, Culture? I mean, at least that was my memory. I didn't go out of Fury Road going, I need to know more about Furiosa.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody did. I think most people's questions are, where the hell was Mad Max?
Backseat.
Yeah. And that's the problem. You cannot have a Mad Max film without Mad Max. And who's Mad Max? Well, it's not Tom Hardy.
The best thing we got out of that movie was the meme. That's bait. That's the best thing we ever got out of it.
That's true.
That's my opinion on it. But I get it. Yeah. Some people liked it. And it was very flashy and visually stunning. But now you're saying now that this one wasn't as visually stunning, because I heard some of the CGI was pretty dodgy.
Yeah, the early CGI is weird. And I'm going to say this. In the very first shot, well, I should say in the very first set of scenes in a post-apocalyptic world, there is a person that could not exist in that situation. There are several people that certainly wouldn't, but at least one, because they apparently ate all of the community's food. They did not suffer for breakfast or lack of breakfast or lunch or dinner. They were very big. This would not be something that would happen. And so on and so forth. And we lost Yellowflash. So, oh well.
Yeah, he's got to deal with something. No worries.
No worries. I do know this. I wouldn't waste your money on it. This is not even... As this film and If are about on the same level. Fall Guy was a good film that nobody went to. This is a bad film that I hope nobody goes to. That's it. I don't know what else to say. It's just a bad movie.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Not even your positive Canadianness apologist can even come up with a good reason to go see this, Paul.
I love Anya Taylor-Joy. She's one of the few actors that I will actually go see in things. But
there is no joy in Mudville for you, at least not for the first hour. So, yeah. Sorry.
No, I trust you. I will wait for streaming.
And
I'm sure it's better than J-Lo's Atlas.
Oh, goodness. Yes. I unsubscribed. I'm going to see Garfield. That's how excited I am about Atlas.
So,
and that's the other question is, how is Garfield going to fare? Will that cause some issues for Fury Road or Furiosa? Because I mean, even though they're technically
audience,
I was just going to say, technically it's not the same audience, but Garfield is actually poised to do about 30 million. And the thing about the two big difference between these movies, besides the obvious, at least I don't think there's any orange cats in Furiosa that like lasagna, but this movie's looking to make $30 million this weekend, which I know we're going now. Some people are going, well, you just said that Fury Road Furiosa is going to stall with 45 million. Why would you say that Garfield is going to be open pretty good with 30 million. Why? Because Garfield cost
money
less than 100 million, or 100 over 100 million less than what Furiosa cost. Because Furiosa cost 170 million plus ads, and Garfield only cost 60 million plus ads, and Garfield's already made 49, 59 million, something like that overseas. And I know that's not so so at this point, with all the pre-sales and all that stuff, it's probably going to be in the black by the end of this weekend, is my point.
At this moment, as far as we know, absent the balance of the international markets it's opening in this weekend as well, Garfield's already at $50 million in a limited international release. So,
wow.
Yeah, so you don't have to make all that much on Garfield here in the States. It's still going to get a wider release internationally this weekend, and then a couple weekends later, I think you're getting a few other international markets opening. So it will eventually make it to all of the substantial markets, and it's already had positive steps forward. So I'm looking at these numbers, and I'll be as frank as I can be. Garfield has a chance to be profitable. Furiosa does not. There's just no
what
way.
The budget of Furiosa was
180, I think, somewhere between 160 and 180. Yeah, let me double check that, but I think we're in that ballpark.
Oh my God!
I'm not going to watch Garfield because I'm allergic to cats.
Whatever. But 3.5 million on a preview weekend is not good. This is you're going into a 3-day weekend, right? Because of the holiday, because this is Memorial Day weekend. So when you look at the numbers, you're going, what and why and where did this come from? And it doesn't look good. Not to mention the fact that, this film is too long. Furiosa is too long. Garfield is a nice short kids film, and
I'm waiting for the final Mad Max where all fuel has been utterly and completely depleted, and it's just BMX bikes against each other.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun. I always feel like these budgets are really the reason why these things fail and flop and don't go well.
And Warner's is probably glad they got a 4-day weekend, so I can tell what's going to happen already is that they're going to, or 3-day weekend technically. Sorry, not 4-day weekend, but I mean Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
If Garfield makes $150 million, it's profitable.
At this point, that's what I was saying. Yeah. So and that's what I was getting at is by the end of this, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's made a profit yet.
No,
but I bet by the end of this weekend it will. And because it's a Sony film, right? So they've already pre-sold this bastard.
Yep.
That's the other thing I was trying to get to too, because Warner Brothers, they're going to show this on HBO Max. So they're paying themselves to play Furiosa. Now, Garfield, on the other hand, now Sony, the one that has the deal where the animated ones go to Netflix and
I think so,
Amazon gets live action or vice versa, something like that.
Yeah.
So chances are Netflix or Amazon, whoever it is, already paid out the amount of money that Garfield cost to make. That's why I'm kind of sitting here going, this thing's probably already in the black. And I've been hearing stuff about Garfield for a few weeks now about how this movie is going to make a bunch of money. I'm like, how? I don't even see any people going, oh, I just got to go see Garfield. But no, I understand now because the movie didn't cost nothing to make. Chris Pratt was probably the most expensive part of the movie.
Yeah, on his $10 million salary or whatever.
Probably got like $5 million, I bet. But yeah.
Well, yeah. And regardless, he made a nice chunk of change for some voice work. But you have again, you have Furiosa, and I looked it up. It's an advertised budget or a published budget of $168 million. So it costs a little bit more than that.
And I can tell you right now, I've seen advertisements nonstop for this thing everywhere. So I can tell Warner Brothers is spending some money on this. Yeah.
I don't know. And Paul, I mean, look, I try to be call balls and strikes as fairly as I can.
Of course.
And it's just looking at the pattern of performance, Furiosa is not on a positive turn.
Right. And you can tell very early on.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. And look, I mean, we've seen films hit walls that should do better. I don't know that Furiosa should have done better, but you see them hit those walls, right? But I mean, if you compare it to something like, that terrible movie I saw, worst movie of the year, Challengers. If you compare it to that, Challengers only spent $55 million on their budget, so it's in line with Garfield, just a little more. That's also a Warner Brothers film. And it to date, it's only got a $79.9 million box office. So
but it's not going to be a disaster. The studios and the movie theaters have got to get together and realign expectations. And we've talked about this already. Is that you can sit down and go, okay, what are the expectations of this movie? And we talked about it with Warner Brothers when you went through the numbers and you realized for the most part, they never really made more than $500 million on most of their superhero movies, apart from the odd Batman, right? So you just remove the anomaly, remove Batman as an anomaly, and you go, let's make sure that we're going to make money on every superhero movie that can at least hit $3 million gross. And then there's a way to make the industry healthy, but it's up to them to do it. And you're not going to do it by making a Mad Max for $160 million.
No, and I think the way to do it is what Sony's doing with this, and that's why I keep comparing this to Garfield, right? Because Garfield, $60 million for an animated movie. That's amazing. Actually,
Imagination does that all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's a hell of a budget to keep an animated film down to. Hell, that's a good budget for a regular movie. But Abigail is another one that's coming out this weekend. That might give Furiosa some run for its money. What do you think, Culture? Because this is a movie I keep hearing more and more about.
The horror movie.
Yeah, it's a horror film. The Abigail
Which film?
one. Abigail.
It was great. I enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Abigail.
But I mean, some people are saying this might give Furiosa some, a little bit of trouble this weekend.
I don't know. I mean, it would have to come from the bottom because Abigail's been out for a while.
Oh, I thought it was just opening this weekend. That's my bad.
No, I saw Abigail.
It just
2 weeks
must
ago?
be getting buzzed then, I guess. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have even said that Abigail's better than.
Now that you say, I do mention you mentioned.
Yeah, the ballerina vampire. I mean, she's
gotcha.
Cute.
Yeah.
She's cute. She's a great actress. We've got a couple of really great up and coming actresses that will have a future. One of them is in If. Her name's Kaylee. I want to say last name is Williams, but I could be wrong. No, or Bailey or something. Anyway, she's great in If. Just that film wasn't good. It was 2.5 acts of one film, and the third act was, it divided in half, and the last half of it was an adult film. So it was very strange. But I mean, at this point, the domestic gross for Abigail is 25 million. Worldwide, it's made 39. But it's a horror film that costs like $12 to make.
Have you seen the trailer for Beetlejuice 2?
Yes, I think Beetlejuice is going to be extraordinary.
Yeah,
I didn't like the trailer.
I loved the trailer. I thought it was great.
I didn't. I'm to this point where I don't think they should have made a sequel. I just looked at it and I'm like, this is everything I predicted it was going to be.
But as the trailer goes, it's got all the elements that would bring me back to the movie. It's got all the characters I want to see.
I don't know. There was something.
I don't know what the story is.
I kind of already know the story just because it looks exactly like what I predicted it was going to be. His number came up. He got to come back up.
Yeah.
He reminded Lydia that they're married. And then at the same time, he's got his old wife coming after him. So now they're going to turn him into a quasi-hero in this one, which is not what Beetlejuice is. He's a villain. They forgot that the entire first movie was about him being a villain.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was a hero in Terminator 2.
Different Terminator, though.
It's still Arnold.
I get what you're saying, and I understand the argument.
I think, but it can be circumstances. It can be. No. I think you're.
See, this is the thing, though.
Really
see, Terminator 2. Here's the other thing, though. Terminator 2 came out 7 years after the first one.
Right.
This movie, and this is my argument I'll make towards this. Okay, The Fly came out, the remake was like 85, 86. There is just as much, there's just as much time now between the original Beetlejuice and this movie as there was between the Cronenberg Fly and the original Fly. Right. Now imagine instead of them doing that in 86, they had turned around and said, let's make a sequel to the original Fly with Vincent Price. How do you think that would have flown? That's kind of where we're at right now. No kid has any real sense of who Beetlejuice is. There's not too many kids alive.
It's
Jenna Ortega is the only thing that's going to bring these kids into.
It's now a standalone movie.
Is it though? You have to see the first movie to understand this movie, though. I think
they would be stupid if they did that. But we don't know. We can't tell from the thing. I mean,
and I get it. A lot of people are looking forward to this and they want it to be good because this is the movie the internet willed into existence. But guess what, kids? Some things don't need a sequel. Goonies don't need a sequel. This did not need a sequel. And if anything, I don't trust Tim Burton as far as I can throw him. He hasn't made an original film since Big Fish. They've all been remakes and sequels and prequels and all this other stuff. And that's all it's been since then.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't thrilled with his Planet of the Apes either. But you know what?
That's what I mean.
I love Michael Keaton. He has gotten better as an actor. Like, he's phenomenal as an actor. That's one person who, from Night Shift to now, really, what an amazing transformation in terms of being a really legitimate, fantastic actor.
And Big Fish was a book. I didn't know that. I thought that was something he wrote on his own.
I love Big Fish. Big Fish was a.
I know that was something he made is like a thing for his father and all that stuff. But
all I can say is I'm looking forward to it.
I hope the movie's good. Don't get me wrong. See, because we have another thing.
You don't wish it bad. I got it.
Because we got the Beverly Hills Cop trailer yesterday too. When I know that movie's probably not going to be very good because I know the entire film because somebody saw a test screening, told it to me.
It's way.
And I'm
over
watching
top.
the trailer. And the trailer is hilarious, but I can tell the trailer is misleading the audience. And
But
I'm
it's
afraid the
also
best
way
scenes
over
are in the
top.
trailer.
It's got all sorts of little signs in it that tells me that this is not going to be good.
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I already know where the movie goes, and all it did was confirm everything I was told. And I'm like, oh, crap. Because we have this daughter, this illegitimate daughter, or whatever you want to call her, or estranged daughter, who's only been shown in the trailer like twice now. And she is a bigger part of this movie than what the trailer is leading on. See, that's the thing that's bothering me.
Yeah, well, all I can say is the trailer worked for me.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I did like the Beverly Hills Cop trailer. I thought it was an amazing trailer, but I know the movie's probably going to suck as opposed to Beetlejuice. This trailer turned me off, but I'm hoping the movie's good. That's kind of where I'm sitting with it. But that being said, let's move on from that because we actually have a topic I wanted to get to before we do lose.
Before I go. Yep. Let's do it.
Because George Lucas is being he was given some like what do you call it? He's been out talking. He was at Cannes. They gave him an award on Friday. And he was talking about how, you know, he said they would say it's all white men. He said of film critics back in the day. Most of the people are aliens. The idea is you're supposed to accept people for what they are, whether they're big and furry or whether they're green or whether whatever. The idea of all people are equal. Now, what he's talking about here, and I'm sure you guys remember this, was a lot of people claim that Star Wars was too white. So he was addressing that. And he also brought up some other things here that I got. I'm sorry we're rushing through this now because we're losing Paul.
Yep.
But well, he was brought out on stage. He I don't know. This is kind of going to add more speculation, I think, to things that we've talked about in the last few. He wasn't walking too well. And this is here. I'm going to back this up. You can actually see what's going on here. Okay, so here he is.
I never trust an old guy who doesn't tuck in his shirt.
He used to. I don't think he can anymore because I don't think he can move his left arm. See, there's been people speculating, or not very well, that he may have had a stroke of some kind.
No, I'm done looking. I'm going to be done on someone.
No, and I don't think it was that bad because here we actually have an interview with him where he's talking. This is the thing I really wanted to get to. He's talking about Star Wars and what's happened since.
And you say, yeah, you can say that, but that isn't the way the world works.
What will cinema become in 10 years?
Same thing as it is now. There's one thing that's really, what happens now, and it happens in streaming probably more than features, but features are the same thing. Nobody knows what to do. The stories they're telling are just old movies. Let's do a sequel. Let's do another version of this movie. There's no, and it's not just in movies, but in almost everything. There's no original thinking. You know, it's like people just, I saw something, let's do something like that.
Yeah.
And it's also the way the movies are sold. If you go in and say, I've got something that you've never seen before, that and you don't understand it, it's very hard to get a deal. I mean, you can do it, but it's like this big studios. I mean, they don't want that. They want something that is like something they've seen, because they don't have an imagination to come up with to see something that isn't there. I mean, I got Star Wars done mainly because at the same time I was writing the script, I hired an artist to draw pictures of what I was doing, because I knew I couldn't describe what it was. It was impossible. But when you see the pictures, you say, oh, I.
Okay, so basically what he's going on about here is how there's no more creativity. And there was another part of the speech that we saw before where he was talking about Star Wars, where he goes, I was the one who really knew what Star Wars was, and that's kind of going off of what he was saying here. Who actually knew what this world was. There's a lot to it. The Force, for example, nobody understood the Force, he said. When they started other ones after I sold the company, a lot of ideas that were in the original sort of got lost. But that's the way it is. You just give up, you give up. So yeah, so I mean, he's saying a lot here. I'm just curious what you guys' response to this was. I didn't mean to kind of rush through this story, but I know you got to get going, Paul.
Well, since I'm going, let me go first. What he's describing is the thing that has been my mantra over the last 6 months, and that is we no longer have an industry. So when I was head of TV comedy, I had no choice but to greenlight stuff. That was my job. So if any one year I didn't have particularly good material, I had no choice. I had to greenlight stuff. It's the same thing with sitcoms and with movies. When these theaters were putting, and there was like 5 different studios putting between 24 and 26 movies, main movies, big movies, into the theaters every single year each, that meant that they had read 1,000 scripts, that they had they didn't pilot stuff, but they had at least commissioned rewrites of these things. And it's not a question of volume. It's a question of the industry picking the best that they possibly could at any specific time. Now they're making fewer movies. So he's talking about the lack of creativity. Yes, that lack of creativity was always there, but the difference was that they actually had to greenlight things. And they knew that if they did 24 movies a year, they had this math that said 5 movies, maybe, if we're lucky, will actually make enough money for us to afford all the other 20 flops that we're producing. But out of those other 20, they actually had an idea that out of one or two of those movies will be breakout movies based on the fact that they weren't reruns, they weren't repeats, or sequels, and there will always be surprises. Part of the math was that they would have surprises in their a catalog of movies that they would make that year. That's what's gone. They're so concerned about just making successful movies, they don't understand that they've got to make 20 some odd movies and expect a breakout of 1 or 2 that they never expected. The never expected part of the math is what's gone. And that's what he's not addressing. And I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Now, he did
And that's how you get new stuff. Because
because Star Wars was one of those kind of movies at that time. Original one was. It was the sequel that wasn't. I mean, that's where things changed.
But the original one was one of those ones in the list of 24 movies that they would have produced that year that they didn't really expect much from. I guarantee you, the year that Star Wars came out, that Fox helped make that, there were other movies that they were more chuffed about.
Yeah. Well, and actually, it's funny because Star Wars was a movie that, I don't know, you might know this. The Other Side of Midnight, which was a novel turned into a movie, that was supposed to be Fox's big movie for the summer, I guess, that year.
Well, there you go.
And they were forcing people to take Star Wars if they wanted that movie. So that is why the few theaters that actually showed it got it, because they actually, went with Fox on it. And anyway, The Other Side of Midnight flopped. But of course, Star Wars, saved the company.
So the industry has got to get back to creating volume. I hate to
Yeah.
say the word. There is no other way to do this. You cannot, you just cannot put your bets on just a couple of movies and expect them all to be successful.
Yeah, and then the other part here I just wanted to highlight quick too was also the interviewer asked him about the superhero stuff.
It's interesting because with Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, you were part of what we call the new Hollywood. Interestingly, Martin Scorsese said he didn't think of Marvel movies as cinema. Do you agree with him?
Look, cinema is the art of the moving image. So if the image moves, then it's cinema, and I think Marty's kind of changed his mind a little bit, but we're on the Film Foundation together. He started the Film Foundation, but it's directors that got together and say, we're going to try to save a lot of these movies because they're falling apart in warehouses somewhere. So we're going to try to make them, save them so they don't disappear, because of the silent movies, like 80% of.
Anyway, yeah, so he doesn't necessarily agree with Martin, but yeah, that was the other part I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I mean, look at, again, back in the heyday when studios were making so many movies and they had contract actors. And again, one of the ways that they would make unknown movies at least hopefully successful, is that they would put well-known actors into them. We don't even have well-known actors to give the best shot at these movies that he's talking about that we should all be taking chances on. And there's stories about, I can't remember the name of the actor, but in the Thin Man, very famous movie franchise, they were trying to get rid of this one male actor at the end of his contract, and they just threw him into his last movie, The Thin Man, and it became a massive success. So that only comes from volume. There's just no other way to do it. That's how you sneak in creative people. I got a green light. 24 movies.
Right.
That's it.
Well,
that's the way it goes.
I know you have to run. I don't see any super chats left for you, so thank you so much, Paul. Check out Appalling News and call me Chatto. And I'll let you get out of here before I finish up these super chats. All right, take care.
Bye, everyone.
We got Tim Hayes, who's been here for 34 months. We got Horseradish Power, says Jennifer Lawrence would have made Furiosa a hit. You're probably right, Horseradish Power. Thank you for the £2. Jason Webster says that the Furiosa Max saga goes for 28 minutes longer than Fury Road. Yes, that is true. Why, I do not know. And that's sent twice for some reason, Jason Webster.
Sometimes that happens.
I don't think you meant to do that. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 10 and says, Casino, not only will Garfield beat Furiosa. Oh, so he's jumping in with I don't know. It didn't do as well in previews, but that's a good point. It's a kid's movie. It may not start picking up till tomorrow. Is that a possibility, you think, that Garfield could maybe overtake Furiosa?
It's not beyond the bounds. To be fair, it's quite possible. I mean, it has a broader appeal. I asked this question on the way out of the theater yesterday. And it's one I often ask, and I think a lot of people now ask this question. I know you do, and I know Mike does. Who is this movie made for?
It's not made for me. I ain't going to go see this crap.
Yeah. And I mean, back in the day, this was made for 14 to 22-year-old men. Because it's got
a much lower budget too on top of it all.
Yeah, because it's got actions, it's got explosions,
it's
got bullets, it's got a post-apocalyptic fantasy crap. I mean, it's this is that teenage post-pubescence thing. That's what this is driven at. And so you're not getting the testosterone that you normally would get out of this, but you're still getting something that's a reasonable facsimile. That audience doesn't exist anymore. Most of the young people don't go to the theater anymore because you killed the habit. You killed their interest in Star Trek, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Marvel, DC. I go on and name more if you'd like, but you basically killed the interest in the action movie. You can't get boys and girls out on dates anymore, so the rom-com is dying off. You can't make comedies because you're not funny because you don't want to offend anybody. So, you have all these like milk toast bologna sausage things nobody's going to go see.
Yeah.
And this is one of those films. This was not made for a specific audience. There's not a great love for Fury Road. As you pointed out, it didn't do very well. It's not a good movie.
I
And-
refuse to watch any Mad Max for the sheer reason that original song fucking sucked and annoys me to hell.
Yeah, but need
another hero.
Well, all
Anyway.
that's true. Yeah, but the whole
Finish
point being, it to answer the question explicitly, it could certainly happen. It really
Well,
could.
and
I
add to
don't-
that, Chaos Sonic brings up that Garfield has a whole culture and tones of old fans that will support this movie. The hell, the original creator made Garfield to last a long time in memorabilia. So yeah, there's no mistaking that Garfield has a huge cultural impact in comparison, in some ways.
Yeah.
So
No,
it could upset Furiosa this weekend. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it kind of is. That's what I said. Even if it opens in second place, it's still technically the winner, right? Like, that's the thing. Robert sends in 2 and says, Jack Flack always escapes. Rest in peace. Yeah. He will be missed. Master Clockwork says with 5, sorry, Tom, growing up with the Beetlejuice cartoon, having him goofy antihero was perfect. I'm okay with the cartoon being the cartoon, but not the movie. The movie and the cartoon are so very different things in that respect. Like, people forgot Beetlejuice. I swear people forget that Beetlejuice was the bad guy. The bad guy. Like, the villain. Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And Chaos Sonic says, thank you, Tom, for nailing what is wrong with sequels. Seriously, this feels like making a villain a hero. Just like Don't Breathe 2 is bad idea. Yeah, that first movie was kind of out there, the Don't Breathe one. But no, I mean, if this was a long time ago, maybe if there was a good reason for it, maybe. I'm just some movies I feel like should be left alone. We don't have much left from the 80s that is sacred. What's next? Rain Man 2? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I'm getting kind of sequelitis at this point. And wow, holy crap. The Mexicans love Garfield. 15 million. That's pretty good down there. Holy shit.
Pretty decent start.
Yeah. There you go. Well, and it's a family film. I think that's going to make a big difference.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Alex. I should think before I speak. But yeah, now they will. Yeah, I know.
You know, cats are pretty tasty.
And I know Read by Nature, and Paul brought this up too, but I'll bring up again. It's a completely different Terminator. It's not the same Terminator. But anyway, I don't want to get into all that business. I know people want this Beetlejuice 2 thing. They've wanted it for years.
Not me.
And I've kept telling people or saying to people, do you really know what you're asking for? I don't think you do. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Because I love Michael Keaton just as much or more than most people, but
It's okay. You're wrong, Tom. It'll be fine.
you're starting Dolph Lundgren. I like to count cards.
It's going to be fine, Tom. It'll be fine.
Yes. And as Jason Webster says, when Australian $2, I'm the ghost with the most, babe. That's right.
It's true.
Thank you so much, Mikey. Thank you so much, Culture, for being here. Thank you to the other guys for being here this morning. We appreciate it. Culture, anything you want to plug on the way out?
I got a post flight coming up that's about to go live on which means you can find it there. But it's at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right as FNT is ending. I've got special guest Little Chad from Ascended Art today.
All right. And Mikey, anything else we should plug?
No. Thanks for being here, everybody. And for those asking in the chat, I got some people DMing me in the background on Twitter X. Andre's traveling. He will be back Monday. So, Tom was, nice enough to let me sit here. So thank you for having me.
Whatever.
Sit here? You made the show go today.
No, I am Mexican and I'm not a YouTuber.
He was acting so Mexican today, it's not even funny.
Yep.
He's like, I'm ready to go. I've been up since 6:30. Let's go.
I think that's true.
He's laughing because it's fucking true. And I'm sitting here dragging ass going, okay, Mike, we're here.
Okay, maybe I set up the stream. Maybe, just maybe.
You did.
Maybe. But just because I set up the stream does not make me a YouTuber.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw that in your face. So
I am.
with that though, I am going to let you do the outro.
Oh, me, 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 me. And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas in the rain.